If you are on a weight loss journey or even just trying to shed a few extra pounds like me, this book will change your life. Everything in here is backed by science, and it's actually really fascinating to learn about how certain foods, external factors, and even genetics can play a role in our weight. So the whole entire book is really interesting, but the part I want to share with you today is towards the end, and it is called the 21 Tweaks. These are all super simple actions that actually anyone can add into their daily routine. And number one is to preload with water. Drinking 2 cups of water can actually boost your metabolism, and also it helps you feel a little more full, which will help you take in less calories at your next meal. So it's really a double win. I actually love water, but I usually only drink a small amount before meals. I had never heard of this 2-cup recommendation before. So this one sounds really simple. I'm gonna start adding it into my routine right away, and I love how easy this is so far. Number 2 is going to be to preload with negative calorie foods. So again, we've got that idea of preloading to help fill you up and take in less calories, but instead of water here, it's going to be low calorie foods. So what exactly are these negative calorie foods? Surprisingly, it is not celery, which is what I thought it was going to be. You probably have heard celery is like negative calories before, but Dr. Greger says this is actually any food that is 100 calories or less per cup. So for example, an apple, some soups, even salads would be okay as long as they're less than 100 calories. A tip that I immediately thought of if you do want to incorporate this tweak would be to do a little bit of meal prep. So if you made a large amount of soup that is less than 100 calories per serving and made about 5 or 6 portions of it, then you have enough to eat for the next 5 or 6 days right before your meal. You don't have to make a separate soup every single day. You could do the same for a little side salad. Just prep 5 or 6 days worth and then eat 1 serving per day. And then for breakfast, you could just do an apple, which obviously doesn't take any prep work. Number 3 is to add vinegar into each of your meals, 2 teaspoons of vinegar to be exact. This one small tweak has actually been proven to reduce body fat. As Dr. Greger explains in his book, a little bit of vinegar every day leads to pounds of weight loss. So I feel this tweak is also pretty easy to incorporate. You could add a little bit of apple cider vinegar into your water, into your tea, or of course some vinegar on your salad if you're preloading. And then, very important, drink a glass of plain water afterwards to protect your tooth enamel. Number 4, undistracted meals. Basically, don't eat while watching TV or playing on your phone or anything else that can lead to mindless eating. I think this one obviously makes a lot of sense, but it's gonna be really challenging for me. I eat breakfast and lunch almost always on my phone. I'm either checking emails or watching YouTube, so this is gonna be a tough one. I think I'm going to have to set the phone on the other side of the room while I eat. I'm gonna give it a try though. Number 5 is the 20-minute rule. So apparently studies have shown that no matter how we increase the amount of time that food is in our mouths, it can result in lower calorie intake. And ideally, we should extend meal durations to 20 minutes, which will help fullness cues signal that we're full. This is another one that's going to be a little bit challenging for me because I do eat pretty fast, mindlessly and fast apparently. But a tip from Dr. Greger here is to eat chewier, heartier, and bulkier foods. So think like whole grains, and those will take longer to eat. So I think that's a really good tip for incorporating this tweak. Now, of course, if you want all of the full scientific info behind each of these tweaks, you've got to check out Dr. Greger's full book. I will link it down below. Actually, what I ended up doing was listening to the audio version of this book. You can listen to it while you're doing housework or driving or at the gym. And it's just a really enjoyable way to read this book, and especially getting to hear it in Dr. Greger's voice. So now we're getting into the inclusions, the things you want to incorporate into your diet. So the next few tweaks are actually some spices that you can add to your diet to help speed up weight loss. Number 6 is to add a 1/4 teaspoon of black cumin every day. So I had actually never heard of black cumin before Dr. Greger. It's important to note that it is different from regular cumin. So I have just ordered mine. I'll link the one I got down below in case you want to check it out. And I'm very interested to taste it. I have no idea what it tastes like. Actually, if any of you have tried it before, let us know in a comment down below. Do you like it? What do you think it tastes like? I'm really curious. To incorporate this one into your diet, I would actually recommend mixing it with a couple of the other spices, which we're about to go through. And I think it will be easy to take all of them kind of in one meal if you wanted to. Number 7 is a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder every day. I think this will be a pretty easy one because garlic powder is very common. It's really delicious in basically anything savory. And if you only need a 1/4 teaspoon every day, then I think it'll be a pretty inexpensive tweak to add to. Number 8 is ground ginger or cayenne pepper. So 1 teaspoon of ground ginger or 1/2 teaspoon of cayenne pepper have been shown to significantly decrease body weight. I think this will be an easy one to add into tea, which is another tweak we'll be getting to soon. Number 9, nutritional yeast or brewer's yeast in the amount of 2 teaspoons per day. So if you haven't tried it yet, nutritional yeast has this really delicious, cheesy, kind of nutty flavor. It's really good in salad dressings, and I even like it sprinkled over my air popped popcorn. Number 10 is cumin. Dr. Greger recommends half a teaspoon with lunch and dinner. Now this is probably the cumin that you're most familiar with, so he does recommend this in addition to the black cumin. I love cumin in my beans. I don't usually eat it every day, so that is something that I'm going to have to work on incorporating more of. Number 11, green tea. Dr. Greger recommends to drink 3 cups of green tea every day between meals, but very important to note here, wait at least 1 hour after your last meal before drinking tea because it can inhibit iron absorption, and try not to consume large amounts of caffeine at least 6 hours before sleeping. So as I mentioned in tweak number 8 when talking about ground ginger or cayenne pepper, you could easily add those into your green tea, and that way you're checking off 2 tweaks in 1. Number 12, stay hydrated. It's recommended women aim for about 9 cups of unsweetened beverages per day, while men should aim for about 13. But as Dr. Greger mentions, 9 cups is already taken care of if you're doing the water preloading and drinking your green tea. So as long as you're doing those tweaks, then I think this is a pretty easy one to accomplish. Personally, I love water. I think I stay pretty well hydrated throughout the day, but if you're someone who doesn't really love to drink your water, you can always try adding fruit in there or like some sliced cucumber, kind of jazz up your water a bit. Or I also love that you have the option of drinking tea for this category. So you could even batch prep some green tea or hibiscus tea. I think now that summer's here, it would be really nice to have those on hand in the fridge so that you don't have to brew a fresh cup of tea every time you want a beverage. Number 13, deflour your diet. Whole grains are better than refined grains if you're trying to lose weight, and eating intact whole grains is also beneficial to feeding our good gut bacteria. Now it is important to note here that this does not mean making your diet gluten-free. Some whole grains do have gluten in them, such as wheat berries, and those would still be okay to eat, whereas something like rice flour is going to be gluten-free, but would not be okay to eat because it is in a powdered flour form. So this is 100% going to be the hardest one for me. I love pasta, bread, brown rice noodles. Actually, just the other day, I was saying how much better salads are when you put pasta in them. However, I do think that incorporating this tweak might actually make a big difference in my weight loss, so I'm willing to try it. I did used to do a lot of grain salads, putting things like millet or sorghum or spelt berries at the bottom, so I will have to try and go back to that. It's gonna be a challenge, but I'm willing to give it a try at least. Number 14 is to front load your calories. Apparently, there are benefits to moving more of your calories earlier in the day. So ideally, you should make your breakfast the largest meal, your lunch a little bit smaller, and your dinner should actually be the smallest meal of the day. I really do love this concept. I am not practicing it now, but I think it's gonna be an easy one for me to incorporate because I'm very hungry in the morning, especially if I've gone to the gym first thing in the morning. I like to have a really big breakfast, so I'm very interested to try this one out. Number 15, time restrict your eating. Dr. Greger recommends confining your eating to a 12-hour window. Now he does say you can choose your own 12-hour window, basically anything that you can stick to consistently, but he does recommend trying to make sure that window ends before 7 p.m. So I guess ideally it would be like from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. or even from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Now, usually I don't start my meals that early in the day, so shifting all of my meals a lot earlier might be a little bit of a challenge, but I am relieved at least that he's giving us a 12-hour window and it isn't something super restrictive like an 8-hour eating window. If you're also not accustomed to eating that early in the day, I would recommend just to stick to at least the same 12-hour window per day, and then you can always gradually make it earlier and earlier, but I think it's important just to try to stick to a 12-hour window first. Number 16, exercise timing. As Dr. Greger reminds us, any moderately intense activity is good at any time of the day, but there may be an even bigger advantage to working out in a fasted state, which basically means you just haven't eaten recently. So before breakfast is the ideal time, but it also could be after a lunch or dinner as long as you haven't eaten within the past 6 hours. I personally don't know many people who wait 6 hours after eating to do their exercise, but I guess it is an option. So I do love working out in the morning, but admittedly, I am not very consistent with it. So that is actually something I'm going to have to work on to get back into a regular routine of. And my tip for that is to get your exercise clothes ready the night before. You want them to be the first thing you see when you wake up. You can even put them on your bathroom counter so that they're staring at you while you brush your teeth, reminding you that you need to work out. But of course, this does have to realistically work into your schedule. So if the only way to work out in a fasted state would be to go to the gym at 3 a.m., that may not be the best option. You will just kind of have to look at your own schedule and see if it's possible to add this tweak in or not. Number 17, weigh yourself twice a day. So regular self-weighing is considered crucial for long-term weight control, but Dr. Greger actually found a study that shows that weighing yourself twice a day, so once in the morning and once right before bed, actually had the best results for weight loss. And this actually brings me to the sponsor of today's video, but instead of just telling you about them, I'm gonna show you. So coincidentally, I got this FitTrack scale right before I started reading this book, and I am starting to believe that there is something to weighing yourself every day, because I am actually addicted to seeing my progress. Literally the first thing I do when I wake up now is open my app and get on my scale, like even before I brush my teeth. Last year, I actually stopped weighing myself for a while because just seeing your weight doesn't really give you the whole picture, and it can be kind of discouraging to just see that one number there, especially if it's not changing. But that's what I really love about this scale, is that it shows so much more of like a whole picture. Obviously, it shows your weight, but it also shows like your BMI, which is your height compared to your weight. It tells your body fat percentage, your visceral fat number, which is the amount of fat around like your vital organs. That one's actually really important. And it even shows things like your muscle mass and your metabolic age. But actually, my favorite feature in the app is how in each of these individual categories, it shows where you stand in terms of health. So as you click into each category, it shows how your number stacks up and basically shows if you're in a healthy range or not. This is actually the biggest motivator of all, because I like to think of myself as a pretty healthy person. And so when I got on this scale for the first time, I was shocked that not all of my numbers were in the healthy range. Like I said, I want to be healthy in all of these categories. So basically, I feel like this scale is a little mini health coach that I have right in my phone that is guiding me. So if you are interested, I'm gonna leave everything linked down below because it's currently on sale, and I even have a further discount code for you guys to use. You can use the code Let'sEatPlants to save an additional 20%. Okay, back to our list. Number 18 is complete implementation intentions. This is actually an interesting one. Dr. Greger recommends that every 2 months we complete 3 new implementation intentions. So what exactly does that mean? Well, this is where you're going to make a specific plan about when, where, and how to take action to achieve a specific goal. So for example, you could say every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, right after work, I'm going to go to the gym that is right by my office. Now, I haven't actually tried this one before on like a daily recurring basis, so I'm very interested to see how this one goes. I'm not too sure if this would be a long-lasting tweak for me. Number 19 is to fast after 7 p.m. So we did touch on this one briefly in tweak 15 when talking about the 12-hour eating window. Apparently, due to our circadian rhythms, food eaten at night is actually more fattening than the exact same food eaten earlier in the day. Did that just blow your mind or what? When I first heard that in Dr. Greger's book, I was like, let's just say I am convinced. I am gonna try it out, but it's going to be a tricky one because I do love my evening snacks. But I really do think it's gonna help me lose some weight, so it is 100% worth trying out this tweak. So at 7 p.m. every night, I am just going to shut the kitchen down, brush my teeth, and hopefully that will work. Number 20, get enough sleep. As long as you're getting at least 7 hours of sleep each night, you are good to go on this one. So I think it's pretty straightforward and also pretty easy to accomplish. If you are having trouble with this one, make sure you limit your caffeine intake at least 6 hours before bedtime, like we mentioned. And also, I kind of think that stopping eating at 7 p.m. is gonna help with this one as well. And our last tweak, number 21, is very unusual. Experiment with mild Trendelenburg. Apparently, you can try spending at least 4 hours every night with your body tilted, head down 6 degrees. Apparently, this pulls more blood into your heart and encourages the release of a fat burning hormone. Okay, I've got to be honest, I will not be trying this one. There's also a lot of caveats for anyone with medical conditions, lung issues, acid reflux, or even problems with your brain or eyes. So I definitely don't think this is for everyone. I would say it's probably not even for most people, but it is one of the 21 tweaks, so had to include it. it. And now I do just want to say here that this is a lot of tweaks and you do not have to do all of them. But adding just a few of these into your daily routine can help speed up weight loss. So if that is one of your goals, why not give them a try? And with that, let's eat plants, and I'll see you guys next time.